Welcome back, everybody, to our So Spiritual here live at transCODES, Facebook, Instagram, and on our empath forum. My name is bryndis. I'm your energy healer, energy coach, guiding you through some of your experiences. And can you believe it? It's already episode 13 here on the 1st of January. We've all arrived in 2019. And we've been together for almost 2 weeks. Wow. Okay. Thank you guys for your support, for coming, for commenting, for contributing. This is why I do this live. And I need you guys to send me a wink, a wave, a heart, a link, just to see how far we are away from another. Yes. Instagram is here. Thank you guys. I see you. Keep doing this until I get the confirmation here that we are live. Okay, Facebook is lagging a bit behind. I think this is always in the beginning only. 13 days of So Spiritual. I hope, guys, that this could help you a little bit to contextualize some of the things that you're experiencing as a modern empath or a spiritually awakening person. How did you guys like the energy astrology discourse or excurse that I did yesterday, where I gave you guys a little bit of a contextualization with your zodiac and with some of the astrology that most of you are familiar with? Did this help you guys? Yes, I see you liked it. Okay, so if you guys want to, this is something that you need to send back to me as feedback. I can go a lot deeper into this. And when we talk about our chakras here with basmati.com, starting today for 7 days at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to go a little bit more into this. But first and foremost, let's reflect a little bit on these new energies here coming in for 2019 and our energetic stress barometer for empaths. How are you guys feeling? Please share. Personally, I've had a very beautiful arrival in 2019 with friends. Thank you for the party invitation. Yes, we normally don't go to parties, but we did actually, and it was a very beautiful experience. So from my end here, and also I haven't done non-stop energy sessions in the last basically 4 or 5 days. I mean, really 3 weeks, but yes, it feels relatively energetic and a bit sleepy. That's the 1st of January energy, you know, that's always a bit sleepy. That's all. Everybody is kind of sobering up. Some of you may have a little bit of a hangover, but besides that, it actually feels pretty good. I give this first day of the year a full-on, you know, yes, I can. This is a good energy today. And from everything that I could read, guys, today and maybe a little bit tomorrow, this will change though. Okay, so if you want to know more, come to the energy update on Thursday, or yes, another announcement. This is a busy day for me. Come at 1 o'clock to my public discussion with empaths about 2019 energy. So I'm going to do a forecast there live for you guys and then discuss this with you. If you would like to know more, go to the transcodes.com website. There's a link to the webinar. It's public, guys. You all are invited. Hey, France, Belgium. It's so good to see you guys. It feels a bit like a family right now. I haven't been with you for 13 days. You know, I thought since we left off with some of the journey aspects of our spiritual awakening, you know, not just how we feel right now and how to contextualize our sensations and emotions and feelings, but also the overall perspective, you know. So what is this whole journey about? Where does this go? We talked about goals yesterday. let's talk about our personal journey here a little bit. Fifth chakra. So let's clarify the word ascension first, okay? Send me a heart or like or something if you know what the word ascension means. Because this is a word that has been floating around ever since New Age. And a lot of people know kind of that it has to do with spirituality. Okay, a lot of you guys know what it means. You know, and use this word to express something. What is expressed with the word ascension? Basically, what it's supposed to say is that a person is aligned to a higher goal, you know, going into a higher vibratory state, with or without the rest of the people. But for most people, the word ascension kind of symbolizes this literal sort of stepping up into higher states of consciousness, into higher states of being. All right, and with this, obviously, and this is the deeper look, you know, our goals, our values, our boundaries, our perceptions have to kind of adjust accordingly. And for the last couple of days, we've been talking a lot about what this means to our physical body. Our body has to catch up with this as well. But what does ascension actually mean for us as individuals, as persons? Let me start with what it doesn't mean, okay? Ascension does not mean that you become a better person. It gives you absolutely no judgment about who you are, whether you're good or bad. It has nothing to do with this. Ascension is a word that I use the word collective awakening or spiritual awakening, or I use some more neutral words, and it's because I don't really like the word ascension, because it makes people think that it's something that they need to accomplish, something that they need to work through step by step, that they have to, you know, sort of perform in a certain way. And unfortunately, this is why we see so much spiritual awkwardness, you know, in New Age circles, because people make this like an exercise, like something that you know, has to do with them needing to be in a certain way or having to become in a certain way. And the reason why I don't like this, guys, and I'll be honest with you, and I know a lot of people don't like it when it's being said this way, but what it really does is it reinforces that you feel that you are not good enough. It reinforces this problem that we all have, each and every one of us, guys. That deep down we doubt ourselves, we doubt our perception, we doubt that we are good enough, that we're pretty enough, that we are whatever enough, okay, that we deserve, you know, that we are good enough to get somewhere. And that's why the word ascension, even if it's just a word for you, but you know, the programming behind this, namely that it is something that we need to, you know, go up to or level up to, is not appropriate in my view. Okay. From a pure energetic standpoint, what we're actually experiencing here, observing here, is a descension. Okay, so this is basically this barrier between our ego reality and our energetic reality is being lifted. In other words, we are starting to wake up to a sense that we all have. You could call it the seventh sense. So it's not just our gut feeling, it's also something that has to do with, you know, getting inner guidance, getting messages being prompted. And so the reason why I actually prefer calling it descension is because it is not actually something that we have to do. Okay, and this is where the performance aspect gets neutralized. It is actually more something that we have to open ourselves up for, because it is happening out of its own occurrence. This is not something that anybody or anyone or any entity, you know, sort of makes happen or causes. Okay, so what we are experiencing here, this paradigm shift, I'm sure you've heard many people say this before, has to do with us understanding the world in a different way. And it doesn't matter how old you are. In fact, the older you are, the harder it is for you to realize that, things are not going to be the same way as they were before, without thinking, oh my God, what am I going to lose? Or, oh my God, do I have to become somebody different? No. What is happening is that through this new sense, our energetic sensitivity, which we are all sort of wakening up to. So for me, that is what this awakening is about, wakening up to our inner sensations, okay? And this sort of improved divine Wi-Fi that is out there, okay, that allows us to see the world with different eyes, and it allows us to tune back into our subjectivity. And subjectivity is something that was kind of poo-pooed over the last 500 years, since the descent of science, the scientific paradigm. And don't get me wrong, I have a scientific background. So for me, this was a huge personal journey myself. It took me like 25 years, to actually accept that I am an empath, that I'm an energetically sensitive person. So what's the problem here with ascension, or the process of ascension, is not so much that we have to become different. It's more that we have to become more tuned inwards. Ascension is an inside job, guys. That's not something that you get kudos for, or something that other people give you a trophy for, or that makes you arrive at a different place. Ascension comes from you tuning inward and you learning to read your inner signals better. And what is this divine Wi-Fi that I talked about, what is actually descending? So think of it this way. You all know 3G, 4G, 5G, for your cell phone. I'm sure you've heard this before. Well, think of XG, okay, as the ultimate, the highest broadband that is out there, okay, that is coming from divine creation, from source directly, okay. This is roughly 3 billion bits per second. And you with your brain, which is your router, you are perceiving things, you see things with your 5 senses, and then you have a sort of a gut feeling, an intuition about things, and then you have a 7th sense, and that 7th sense, is actually in tune with this divine Wi-Fi. But your brain can only interpret things up to 2 million bits per second, so it's really, 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 really slow. Our mind, our brain, our neurology, okay, our cellular makeup is not designed to immediately interpret all this. So what ascension actually is, guys, is you learning how to transcode. This is where the word transcodes comes from. Translate, mediate between this higher perception that you have, that we all have. And let me explain this a little bit, this higher perception, where it plays out for you. The visual aspect of that, people seeing things with their eyes open, like something like ghosts, or something like colors and shapes, or hearing things. That's the surface, guys. That's the surface. Okay, your higher perception takes place at a different frequency, at a different state of your brain, and that is usually only you only have that state when you are in an extremely deep sleep or a near-death experience. And that's why we are not used to really work with this information, okay? Our brain only recognizes the state when we are in a deep state of sleep, deeply entrenched in our subconsciousness, or when we're dying. And so this is also, by the way, where the psychoactive plant medicines and hallucinogenic drugs come in, because they can induce that, okay? But see, technology and science is actually as far as recognizing that we can enter those, or we can practice, we can train those energetic states, okay? We can train our brain to function, you know, on this theta frequency, and even for some people on delta and gamma. And those are frequency levels of your brain that allow you to directly access your subconscious, okay? And here is where energy work and all this comes in, because that mediator in you, that transcoder in you, you know, that you know, you are like a radio station, but your tuner is not good enough, you know, to tune into all these different channels that are out there, okay? And as this this divine Wi-Fi signal gets stronger, Ascension, that's what Ascension really is, you know, you're starting to get this overlay, you're starting to get static of it in your dream world, you know, and not just in the visual way. You will feel this in your body. This is what all these ascension symptoms are about. You'll feel this in the way you interact with other people. There's so many different dimensions, so many different layers of that. And some of you, you know, with like astral travel and so forth, you know, are curious about this, and you're trying to explore this, and there's issues with this. I mentioned this before. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. But the main point here being is that you are beginning to tune into something very, very natural, but you don't have the translator, the transcoder in you. And so big part of 2019 is to really wake up to this, and to consciously remember to train this translator, this mediator in you, the mediator between your subconscious, which is tuned in to this divine Wi-Fi, and your conscious brain. And the reason why this is so difficult for a lot of people, guys, is because you know, it actually requires you to accept that your mind, you know, your brain, your objectivity, your rationale, your intellect is not a tool, is not a vehicle that can get you there, simply because its processing speed is not high enough. So you're going to have to learn how to work with a part in you that isn't that well trained yet, because in the past, you know, we have been conditioned to shove this away. Oh, this is just a nightmare. Or we have been conditioned to be afraid of it, you know, seeing, you know, these horrific nightmares, seeing demons, you know, and stuff like that. So people have unconsciously shut down their higher perception. And so as Ascension, you know, as, you know, a vocabulary word, that's lingo, you know, representing sort of this global awakening in all of us. This is really happening for all people in this world. As this is going on, what this brings in is a new paradigm of understanding ourselves and the world. And so our task is to learn how to deal with this, how to build a lexicon of inner sensations, as I call this, how to familiarize yourself with the language of your subconscious, with the language of your higher energetic perception. And one of the best ways to do this, guys, is to actually tune into your physical sensations. Because contrary to public belief, higher perception does not take place in the visual. The visual perceptions that people have are merely something that they can accept better, because up until now we have been believing that only what we can see is true or is real. And when you begin to transcode, translate, you know, this higher perceptory senses that you have, then you will see that visual aspects of this are really just a tiny little layer. There's so much more. Do you know, when you talk to a person and you feel something, and I'm not even talking about the extremes, you know, such as feeling completely drained or sucked dry, or, you know, feeling repelled, but you can feel that there's something going on. And people used to call this chemistry, but they could never really explain it. But everybody knows this. Everybody knows it. Or telepathy, right? nobody could ever explain why this works, that you think of a person and 5 minutes or 5 seconds later, you know, they text you or they call you. This is because there is a connection between all of us holographically here on this level of our higher perception. And if we can learn this, guys, and my heart is really into teaching children this from their very earliest stages, we can see ourselves in a whole different way, and also the other persons. A lot of the issues that we have on this planet, you know, the lack of respect and the lack of you know, honoring of the planet itself, the you know, all these wars and all this you know, sort of lack of respect towards another can be resolved. If everybody feels this, you know, then this can be opened up, and we can really all feel that this is something that connects us. Yes, and I want to cover some of your comments here. Yes, Sandy, you like the way I put this. Ascension, the Ascension process is an inside job. Yes, and there is nothing, you know, that you have to, you know, present to the outside world, as far as, like, you know, the way you look, the way you dress, the way you talk. No, this is an inside process. It makes it so much easier to understand. Yes, thank you, guys. Yes, this is the reason why I picked this format here, guys, because, you know, I've been in this job, in this explaining business, you know, for 10, 15, and actually more years, because you know, I used to do nutritional consulting. I used to do all different kinds of consulting, business consulting, and everything, you know, that I tried to explain to people was that there is a different view on things, okay, and that this view needs to be trained within. So what can we do really to allow this to happen? Well, first of all is, and this is the most important, guys, and don't think that's an easy one, you got to stop judging yourself. You got to stop looking at yourself as, oh, I'm spiritual or I'm not spiritual. This is total BS, guys. This is happening without your volition, okay? This is something that is part of our overall collective consciousness increasing. And this is also why there is so much optimism here, because even if things seem to regress a little bit right now, okay, this is really just the last hurrah. You know, what is really going on is that we as an entire collective, you know, humanity, are wakening up to a new level of truth, okay? And this new level of truth, I mean, it's not like that there's different truths out there, but there are layers of it, okay? Brings in a deeper understanding of, you know, nature, of universal laws, of interaction, conflict resolution, safety, resource sharing, community, and so forth, okay? So while it may take a few more generations to really be part of all our, you know, human experience, okay? The hard part here is that, you know, that we are in this transformation or, you know, transmutation process, and that makes it so confusing for us. There's another word that I would like to throw at you here in conjunction with Ascension, just so that you've heard this before. It's called bifurcation. Bifurcation is a phenomenon that we experience as energy readers and energy healers, and that is that there's almost like a shift of the way people perceive reality into completely two different realities, okay? And just to give you a little bit of a statistic here, the number of energetically sensitives and empaths, you know, like literally that who can identify that they're energetically sensitive, be it through the physical sensations that they have, be it through the visions or the inner guidance that they suddenly experience, or the spiritual emergency that they're going through, is roughly between 15 and 18%. the number of the entire populace of humanity, the number of people actually dedicating themselves to work with this and to train this is extremely small, guys. That's like maybe 1%. And this is where one of the issues are with this Ascension business, because you know, there are things that when your consciousness shifts, you see things in a different way, and you begin to talk in a different way too. It's not just the lingo, it's also just simply the way you understand things, okay? And most of us awakening, you know, ascending souls, again here, everybody's ascending, okay? But the consciously awakening souls, all right, you know, is that we feel intrinsically incompatible with others. And this is my biggest tip for you guys. Do not try to convince or explain or, you know, make other people understand. They cannot. And that is not because you are so spiritual and you are superior. No, this is because there's an incompatibility in frequency. Okay, this is like, what could I compare this with? It's like having different kinds of glasses on, okay? And until the person has these glasses on, or, you know, takes them off, really, it's more like in the Matrix movie with the red pill and the blue pill. They're not open for this kind of information. But what do you know? You know, tomorrow they may, because this is happening to all of us, and there's nothing frightening. It's something very beautiful that is happening to us, because we begin to understand and experience ourselves as more rarefied. And we begin to connect with ourselves better, and we begin to feel more fulfillment, more purpose, and we can finally, you know, discern for ourselves what can make us happy, what can bring joy to us, what can make us more authentic. Okay, so this is a wonderful process, but you know, on the way to there, we have to go through quite a bit of shedding all these layers of ego and false self and I am so spiritual. Okay, so that's the hard part. That's where the ego kicks in, screams. Okay, so being authentic, being real is a tough job, guys. So just because we are awakening to some of these ascension symptoms or experiencing those ascension symptoms doesn't mean that we are more authentic yet. On the contrary, if you find yourselves in the midst of spiritual specialness or spiritual superiority, welcome to the club, guys. Okay, that is a normal coping mechanism of your ego, because you have been shunned, you have been ridiculed, people, you know, call you names, space cadet, woo-woo, whatever. It's normal. But that's, you know, the part that allows you to tune into true info coming directly from source. All right, and this is what allows us to discern how to become real. Heather, I'm yes, you think I'm hilarious. That's cool. Send a heart, send a like if you think I'm hilarious. Yes, most of these things that I'm bringing in here, guys, are a bit code breakers, and they go against public opinion. Guys, I have to go now and prepare for the public webinar for empaths. This is public. Go to transcodes.com or my Instagram or my transcodes. You find the link for the webinar there. Giving you a forecast for 2019 and discussing this with you, what this means for an empath. What does 2019 energies mean for an empath? And if you still don't have enough of me and you know, want to know more, then come to our live show called So Chakra, explaining a bit more and giving you a bit more, you know, source information about your energy centers and chakras and what they mean and how you can connect with them and how you can, you know, work with them, not just how to clear with them. There's lots of other things in, you know, working with chakras at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. So that's almost midnight for you guys in Europe, and really, really late in Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. and early afternoon here in the US. But you have to go to basmati.com Instagram for the live. Okay, I'm going to try to do this live here on Facebook as well, but I don't know yet if this is going to work out. So go to my website, transcodes.com. You have all the links there. Yes, I can't wait to see you either in the webinar in 30 minutes, at the Soul Chakra this afternoon, or somewhere in the etheric. Tomorrow we're going to talk about spiritual warfare and what a spiritual warrior is. Another code breaker episode. Love you guys. Thank you so much for coming. Like, share, invite your friends. Have fun. Bye-bye.